She pulled the main switch and smiled. "Let's see how you live without HOA approval," she said. The lights inside my house died in 1 second. The oxygen machine in my living room made a sharp beep, then went silent. My father was lying there, fresh out of the hospital, wires still taped to his chest. I ran to the window and saw her standing near the utility box at the side fence, like she owned the street. "You can't do this!" I shouted. She crossed her arms. "You turned your living room into an ICU. That's against HOA rules. No commercial medical equipment allowed." My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed calm. "This is my father's life." She shrugged. "Should have asked permission." Then she pulled out her phone. "And if you touch that box, I'll call the cops for tampering." Inside, my little daughter was crying. "Daddy, Grandpa's machine stopped." That sound, I will never forget it. I grabbed my phone and called 911. But before I could finish, Karen yelled loud enough for neighbors to hear. "He's stealing electricity from the grid. He's dangerous." A few people stepped outside. Some looked confused. Some looked scared. She had already taped a bright orange notice on my door that said, "Power disconnected by HOA authority." It looked official. Almost too official. I walked toward her slowly. "You don't control the city power." She smirked. "I control this community." Then she leaned closer and whispered, "Maybe next time you'll remember who runs this neighborhood." That was the moment I realized something was very wrong. The city had approved my father's temporary medical setup. I had the paperwork. I had spoken to the county myself. So how did she shut it off? A black SUV turned the corner. Karen smiled bigger. "Good," she said. "They're here." 2 men stepped out wearing security jackets, not police uniforms. One of them held a clipboard like he was ready to evict me. My daughter was holding her grandpa's hand inside, whispering, "Please breathe." And Karen looked at me and said the line she probably practiced in the mirror, "You should have read the HOA handbook." I took a slow breath and looked past her at the street. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," I said quietly. And far down the road, I heard the deep rumble of a diesel engine getting closer. The diesel sound grew louder. And for 1 second, Karen's smile slipped. Then she laughed like it didn't matter. "More of your drama?" she said. The 2 security guys walked toward me. One pointed at the orange notice. "Sir, you need to vacate until the violation is fixed." I stared at him. "There's a man inside who can't breathe without power." He shifted his eyes but didn't move. Karen jumped in fast. "He's exaggerating. It's just a small oxygen tank. Stop playing hero." Inside, my father's weak cough echoed through the open window, and that sound cut deeper than anything she said. The diesel truck turned onto our street. Big, white, county logo on the side. Not a small one either, a full emergency generator unit. Neighbors started whispering. Karen's face went tight. "Who did you call?" she snapped. I didn't answer. The truck stopped right in front of my house. 2 city utility workers stepped out with reflective jackets. One looked at the dead meter box and frowned. "Who authorized this disconnect?" he asked. Karen stepped forward like she owned the ground. "I did. HOA board president. He's violating community standards." The worker blinked slowly. "Ma'am, this is a medical priority address flagged by the county." The street went quiet. Karen laughed nervously. "That must be a mistake." The worker shook his head. "No mistake. We received a request from the hospital discharge office. This house is on protected status." Her confidence cracked a little. But she wasn't done. "He never submitted HOA medical clearance forms," she yelled, grabbing random papers from her folder. One of the security men started backing up. The neighbors were filming now. I stepped closer to the utility worker and handed him a sealed envelope. "County approval. Signed yesterday." He opened it and nodded. "Everything checks out." Karen's voice got louder, almost shaking. "This is private property. HOA governs utilities." The worker turned to her slowly. "No, ma'am. You don't." Then he pointed at the cut line. "And tampering with a protected meter? That's a serious offense." For a second, I thought it was over. But then Karen pulled out her phone again. "Fine. I'll call the real police." He threatened me. She started dialing with shaking fingers. Ups and downs. Every time I thought justice was coming, she tried to twist it again. My daughter ran outside, tears on her face. "Daddy, Grandpa's lips are turning blue." That broke whatever calm I had left. The generator workers moved fast. Cables rolled out. The engine roared alive. Lights flickered inside my house. The oxygen machine beeped back on. That sound, it felt like life returning. I closed my eyes for 1 second. But when I opened them, 2 actual police cars were pulling in, and Karen was already pointing at me, screaming, "That's him! He's been stealing power for weeks!" The officers stepped out calm, not rushing, not yelling. One of them looked at me, then at my house, then at the generator truck humming beside the curb. "What's going on here?" he asked, simple and steady. Karen jumped in before I could breathe. "He illegally reconnected power. He's endangering the community. I want him removed." Her voice was sharp, but there was something shaky under it now. I didn't argue. I just pointed toward the open window where the oxygen machine was running again. "My father is inside. ICU discharge. Protected medical status." One officer nodded slowly and walked to the utility workers. They handed him paperwork. He read quietly. "No drama, just facts." The second officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, did you authorize the shutoff?" She lifted her chin. "Yes, HOA violation. Unapproved medical equipment visible from the street." The officer paused. "Medical equipment? Visible from the street?" A few neighbors let out small laughs. Karen's face went red. "It lowers property value," she snapped. The utility supervisor stepped forward. "Officer, this address is flagged under county medical protection. Power cannot be disconnected without city authorization. The line was cut manually." He pointed at the clean slice on the cable. "Not by us." The air shifted. The officer looked back at Karen. "Did you physically instruct someone to cut this line?" She hesitated. "Just half a second." But everyone saw it. I had maintenance handle it," she said. One of the security guys behind her suddenly spoke up, quiet but clear. "She told us it was urgent." That was the moment things felt real, not dramatic, just heavy. The officer took a slow breath. "Ma'am, interfering with protected medical utilities is not an HOA matter. It's a criminal matter." Karen stepped back like she didn't hear him right. "Criminal? For enforcing rules?" Her voice cracked now. Inside my house, my father's breathing finally sounded steady. My daughter stood next to me, holding my hand so tight it hurt. I didn't say anything big. I didn't need to. One officer walked toward Karen with cuffs in his hand, not aggressively, just doing his job. "You're being detained while we sort this out." She looked around at the neighbors filming, at the generator truck, at the flashing lights reflecting off her perfect lawn. "This is harassment," she whispered. But no one moved to defend her. As they guided her toward the patrol car, she locked eyes with me, still angry, still blaming me. And that's when I said the only thing I needed to say. I didn't fight for my family to survive the hospital, just to lose him to a power trip. Karen twisted in the back of the patrol car and shouted, "You have no idea who you're messing with." Her voice echoed across the street like she still believed she was in charge. The neighbors kept filming. The generator hummed steady. My father's oxygen machine made that soft, steady rhythm from inside the house, proof he was still here. One of the officers came back toward me. "Sir, we need to ask you a few more questions." His tone wasn't accusing, just careful. I nodded and walked a few steps away from the crowd. That's when Karen's husband suddenly pushed through the front door of their house, pale, shaking. Wait, stop this," he said, almost out of breath. He wasn't yelling like her. He looked scared. He held a folder in his hand. "Not HOA papers, county papers." "I told her not to touch that line," he said quietly, not even looking at me. "That house isn't under HOA authority." The officer looked up. "What do you mean?" He swallowed hard. "That property was removed from the HOA last year. Legal exemption, medical hardship clause." The street went silent. Karen's head snapped toward him from inside the car. "What are you saying?" she screamed. He finally looked at her. "I'm saying he doesn't belong to the HOA anymore." A wave of whispers rolled through the neighbors. Phones lifted higher. Someone actually said, "Oh my God!" The officer turned to me slowly. "Sir, is that true?" I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded document. I hadn't shown it yet. Didn't need to. "Filed and approved 8 months ago," I said. "After my father's first surgery." The officer read it, nodded once, then looked straight at Karen. You knowingly cut power to a non-HOA protected medical property. Her face changed. Not angry now, not proud, just stunned. But it wasn't over. One of the utility workers walked back over holding something small in a plastic evidence bag, a pair of insulated cutters with HOA inventory markings on the handle. Found these in the trunk of the HOA maintenance cart, he said. Signed out under her name. That was it. The officer closed the patrol car door gently this time. No rush, no drama. Add destruction of protected utilities and unlawful interference, he told his partner. Karen banged on the window, yelling something about lawsuits and reputation. But nobody was listening anymore. The same neighbors who used to clap for her at HOA meetings were now stepping back, like they didn't know her. And as the patrol car pulled away, the generator truck's engine powered down, because the city crew had already restored my main line. Lights inside my house flickered back to full power. My daughter squeezed my hand and whispered, "Dad, we're okay, right?" I looked at my home, my father resting inside, the street finally quiet again. "For good this time," I said, because sometimes the loudest person in the neighborhood forgets one thing. Paperwork is louder. The next morning didn't feel dramatic. It felt peaceful. No flashing lights, no shouting, just sunlight coming through the window, and my father sitting upright for the first time in weeks. Oxygen machine humming softly beside him. He looked at me and smiled. "You didn't let them win," he said. But the real surprise came 3 days later. A special HOA meeting was called. Not by Karen, she was officially suspended pending investigation, but by the remaining board members. The same neighbors who once stayed silent now filled every chair. No whispers, no fear, just clarity. One by one, people spoke up. She fined us for a wheelchair ramp. She threatened to tow my car during chemo treatments. She told us medical equipment was an eyesore. It wasn't just about my house anymore. By the end of the meeting, the vote was unanimous. Karen was permanently removed as HOA president. A full financial audit was approved. The maintenance contract was terminated. And a new rule was passed. Permanent. Medical exemptions could never be challenged by the HOA again. When they asked if I wanted to say something, I stood up slowly. "I don't want power," I said. "I just want peace." And for the first time, the whole room clapped for the right reason. A week later, something even better happened. The city sent an official letter confirming my home's protected status permanently. No future board could override it. The generator company even installed a small backup unit at a discount after hearing what happened. Community support, the manager called it. But the real victory? One quiet evening, my father walked and slowly, carefully, out onto the porch. No machines, just fresh air. My daughter ran to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. Neighbors waved instead of watching. No fear, no tension. No orange notices on doors. Just normal life again. As the sun set, my father looked down the street and said something I'll never forget. Power isn't about control. It's about keeping the lights on for the people you love. And for the first time in a long time, our house wasn't just standing. It was shining.